This is what we said. We said that PBC Al Heyman should just go on ahead and put it out there. Just put out uh fights that could just at least cancel out the other people. I didn't know it was gonna be like that.
I mean, to win the arbitration, I mean, who do you know make moves and you screw networks, apps, rival promoters, fighters, mainstream media, nigga, Walt
Countries.
Disney, countries.
A country, motherfucker.
I mean, and Mickey Mouse just lost, bro. Mickey Mouse just took a black eye, man. I mean, man.
Good
Just
God,
saying.
man.
Yeah.
Good God, man. When you
Yeah.
sent me that, I was like, let me go in here and check real quick. Because
Yeah, I
that's
told
not,
you.
yeah.
I ain't believe it. I ain't
Yeah.
believe it.
And then I went and saw it, and I was like, Earl, after I looked at yours, Earl posted it 2 minutes later. And then I went and checked PBC, and like everybody started doing it. Then CBS Sports grabbed it. And I was like, well, once they get it, it's a wrap. It's a
I
wrap.
mean, once Arrow put it on his page, and then also once I saw PBC and Fox put it on their page, I was like, okay, they don't do false advertising. That's why I knew that Fury Joshua stuff was nonsense, because it was a bunch of stuff put it out there, but it wasn't official with dates, sites, and stuff like that. So
yeah, they had a site date, but they didn't have nothing officially locked down. So
I mean, you and I can have a site date.
Yeah.
That's so yeah.
Yeah. We can say, hey, let's meet up at Virtue. Like we can that's
that's a site and a date.
The 23rd. Like that's a site date. But it's nothing official till we say, all right, we're meeting here and we'll go over and we'll have things set up this way and we'll have dinner or whatever. That's something totally different. Exactly. Yeah, man, this is crazy. Today is May 22nd. It is a Taylor-Ramirez fight. I watched part of the shenanigans that happened yesterday. Josh Taylor finally got under Jose Ramirez's skin. From what I understand from being around boxing for a long time, usually if you get under a guy like Jose Ramirez's skin, he's not just going to try to KO you, he's going to try to break you. So I expect him to go forward and try to give out the most hurtful beating that he can before he stops Josh Taylor. Not saying that he will stop Josh Taylor, because I know that also that Jose Ramirez has problems with boxers.
And Josh Taylor is a boxer.
Yeah, bang bang. So Zepeda, even Postal, he couldn't get Postal out of there. Even when he pushed, he couldn't get Postal out of there. So he's gonna have his work cut out for him. My only thing is that Jose Ramirez has more knockouts than he has fights. So that's a concern. That's a very big concern. So the experience goes to Jose on that front. And I don't think that you can take that away from a guy like Jose Ramirez. But again, boxers give him a very big problem. So
yeah, I mean, the guy that both of them have in common is Victor Postal. And those are very different fights, where he struggled with Postal. Taylor kind of really dominated Postal.
I didn't see that. I don't think I saw that one.
Yeah, and styles make fights. Here's where I'm at. I'm rooting for Jose Ramirez. Okay. That's who I'm rooting for. Nice blend of skill. Doesn't do anything great, but does everything good. He is. Well, here's what I will say: he does great. When he gets you hurt, he finishes you. He definitely goes in for the kill. So I'll take that. I'll retract that. He does do that great. My heart is with Jose, but my head is telling me Taylor.
Yeah, that's why I said it's a 50-50 fight to me.
Taylor is he's a UK guy, but he's a very slick boxer who likes to mix it up. He's not BJ Saunders. He's not, Rocky Fielding. He's not Callum Smith.
No.
It's not basic. It's not let me slap the jab and move and be awkward and tricky.
He comes straight up in front of you.
He comes to fight. He's got good movement. He's a southpaw, which I think is going to cause Jose some problems.
Absolutely.
And he possesses enough power to get respect.
Mm-hmm.
And between the two of them, he's got the quicker hands and he's got the quicker feet. So, but Jose has this amazing will to do that. But I have to say, I was impressed with Taylor versus Prograde. That was a doghouse fight, and he outdogged Rougarou. Now, I'm not saying Rougarou is the biggest dog out there, but
no, he's not. But the fact that he stood in the pocket and he was willing to do that let me know something about him.
Yeah, it let me know something. He was ready. He was willing to take a blow to give two back. He had a game plan with that, and to see him execute that against, I think, to me, Regis is a solid fighter. I mean, he's a former champion. So to me, you got to give respect to Taylor in that fight. He shows some skill. He's able to fight in the pocket. He was able to fight from distance. When Regis finally took chances and got in there, he didn't just break down. Some guys, once you break through that distance, people think, okay, then it's all over. It's almost similar to Errol. We talk about the Errol Pacquiao fight, which we get to. Oh, what happened when they get inside? Well, Porter got inside on Errol, and look what happened.
Yeah.
So Taylor possesses some of those same traits, that he can fight at distance, and he's also willing to go doghouse inside. And we both know that's going to be Jose's game plan. Jose doesn't fight on the perimeter. Jose gets on the inside, gets to the body. If you watch him versus Hooker, get through the jab, get on the inside, go to the body, punish you, throw, combinations with bad intentions. But Taylor's slick, man. My head is telling me Taylor, but my heart is telling me Jose.
That's the reason why I said it's 50-50 with me. And you're doing the head, so it's 50-50. Yeah. The only thing about it, this fight is if you trade with Ramirez, like, you do know that these shits is coming back at you. And he can take a hell of a punch. So
he definitely has a chin on him. He can definitely take a licking and keep on ticking. He's also willing to take two to give one. That's where the will comes in. He has this. He's one of the strongest wills in boxing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's why it's going to be a hell of a fight.
It should be a hell of
a fight
for as long as it lasts.
Yeah, it'll be a 50-50 fight. I actually think it's going to last the whole distance. I think it's going all the way to a decision.
You think so?
I think both guys will knock each other down at least once. I think it's going all the way to the end. I think it's going to be a barn burner, a close fight. I think both guys will be marked up, cuts, blood, bruising, swelling. I think it's going to be that type of fight. Just because styles make fights, and again, the way I see the fight going is Taylor's going to control him the first few rounds from distance, from the outside.
You know it.
But we know this, after 3 rounds, Ramirez figures out how to get on the inside. Once Ramirez gets on the inside, we'll see what happens. And when we think about what Taylor's made of, Taylor's able to fight in those close quarters and go doghouse. I predict the fight for the first 3 to 5 rounds, Taylor does a good job of boxing him. Ramirez makes some adjustments, gets on the inside, dishes out some punishment, and then they just start trading, man. And it's just a matter of who can make the most adjustments the quickest.
Yeah.
To land the more meaningful punches.
I was gonna say after the third round, Jose would just pick it up and go, all right, you're gonna box. I know you're gonna box now. So let me just start cutting out the ring and placing shots where I need to. I don't think it's gonna take him too much longer. I think he knows at this point how he feels about this dude. And salute to Josh Taylor for doing it correctly. I think he came over here like a month and a half early to make sure that he got acclimated. People say that people say that the time difference doesn't really hurt you, but it actually does. I mean, it takes like a week or two for some people to get adjusted to the time, so salute to Josh Taylor for doing it the right way and not coming over here at the last minute, the week before the fight or something like that. And you start feeling that lag and not being able to go, not being able to push, but it should be a hell of a fight.
Taylor's coming to win. He's coming to win this fight.
I know that. My only thing is that the UK fighters, and no disrespect, because I got UK fans, I'd be looking at the analytics. Y'all on a losing streak, man. Y'all on a real bad losing streak right now. real, and that's just being real. Like y'all, you had Lara, the Mexican pit bull. He went in there and knocked the guy off. Like you guys have losses all up and down this year and last year. So,
but here's what Taylor's different though. Taylor's from the UK, but I wouldn't call him a UK fighter. I'm gonna tell you why. He don't hide behind Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. He could have did that on the zone, and then he could have done. He could have been the Canelo of the UK. He could have said, "Okay, I'm gonna fight this inferior competition, be the big fish in a small pond," and because we're talking about the whole nationalism, because he's British, he's from the UK, he could have just made a bunch of money off the UK fans, similar to what Anthony Joshua did as well. But what he did was, not that I'm a big fan of, Top Tank, but he signed with Top Rank, which is based here in the US. And let's be honest, this is where the best competition is. So where he's different from the other UK fighters is he wants to smoke.
Yeah.
You don't leave your own backyard where you're comfortable, you're clearly the superior fighter, where you can still make your money and beat inferior guys and get all the credit in the world through the hype machine in the UK media. Let's not forget the America hype PR machine comes from somewhere. We know where it comes from. Our system of government is built off them. So there are a lot of similarities. They've just been doing it longer.
Yeah.
But I respect him immensely because he's chosen the path of competition, unlike so many other guys. And
the
he signed with Top
role.
Rank. Yeah, he signed with Top Rank. Now let's give him credit again. The best competition in 140 happens to be in the Top Rank banner. And he could have signed with another promotional company and completely ducked and dodged the top 140 pounders. And he could have been with PBC and say, okay, I'm going to fight Maurice Hooker. I'm going to maybe do a rematch with Pro Gray, or he could have signed with somebody else. He didn't do that. So that tells me that he's built differently. And I don't gauge people by what they say. I look at people by what they do. Actions. And when you make a move like that, you have a lot of confidence, and you clearly think you're better than everybody else, and you clearly want to show that you're the best. So regardless of what people think about him and where he's from, it's not about necessarily where you're from. You remember where you're from, but it's about where you're going.
Yeah.
So let's look at where he's going. He's fighting a monster. And he could have done something different and stayed over there in the UK and been the, UK champion at 140 pounds, whatever he wants to do. But he came over here for the smoke. So let's see if there's something. Let's see if there's
for the big boy. He came over to play with the big boys, and that's no disrespect to nobody else around the world. But we all know, like, the best crop of talent usually comes out of an American stable or Mexican stable.
And let's be honest, he didn't just stop and say, "I'm gonna come do this with Jose Ramirez." He said, once I beat Jose Ramirez, then I want the guy they think is pound for pound." And he signed with Top Rank. He has a problem finding fights. If I'm with Top Rank, he's a Top Rank. We can make that fight. Absolutely. We all know, and Bob has said it. The winner of this fight gets Terrence Crawford. So when you look at a guy who leaves the UK and says, "I'm gonna basically go fight," in my opinion, the top two fighters that is signed to Top Rank. I'm not big on Tyson Fury. That's a whole nother conversation. Then to me, that says something. That means something because he's got a game plan. He didn't just pull this, out of his behind. This is something he's been plotting and planning on.
Well, I think, Jay, that the Super 6 series, I think that gave him his confidence,
Yeah.
I think that gave him his confidence.
But a lot of those guys win those little series, but they stay over there. They don't come across the pond.
Very true.
Like Joshua. Joshua did all that. Joshua should have came to the US. He should have came to the US. I think that's a big part of why he got smoked by Ruiz. He wasn't, I think he was shell-shocked. He was starstruck, and he wasn't acclimated and used to this, as well as the competition. It's one thing to have, PR and hype things up, but at the end of the day, when you got to get in there in between those ropes, it is what it is. And I think that's what guys like BJ Saunders and Callum Smith, who is obviously a super hype job with Callum Smith, because who did he fight? I get you can call something the Super 6 series, but who are the six?
Yeah.
And so kudos to Taylor. I personally think he's built differently.
So yeah. And the way he talks and goes about everything, I'm like, oh yeah, he with the shits, man. Like
he got the energy, it's in him. And I think it would be a huge mistake I don't think he's doing it because I just kind of watch how he moves. Jose's kind of the same. He takes everything serious. He's coming to bang. But I think it'd be a huge mistake to associate him with other UK fighters and think that's what you're going to be walking into. Because if you do, you're going to get knocked the hell out or you're going to get embarrassed.
Yeah.
So I would focus less on the UK part and focus more so on, look, like you said, it's a 50-50 fight. Both these guys want the smoke and they want to see who's the best at 140 pounds. And so, kudos to both of them. And I want to give both of them mad props and respect for showing what boxing and what competition in sport is supposed to be about. It's about the best fighting the best.
Absolutely.
They don't care about all these sanctioning bodies. Yeah, you give us all these belts, but at the end of the day, we got all the belts. We're not going to avoid each other. We're going to fight each other.
Yeah, exactly. And King of the Hill. I salute them.
Yeah.
I salute them. I salute
them.
I'm very happy for this.
Yeah, I can't disrespect or look down on either one of those guys because they're both saying we want this challenge. And, and both those guys earned it. Neither one of them were handed anything. There wasn't no politics. They both beat who they need to beat to get what they got. And this is great. This is gonna be potentially, in my opinion, a fight of the year candidate.
I think so. I just don't like. I feel like there wasn't much of a marketing plan behind this fight. Like you didn't hear nothing for the last week or two about this.
It's top rank. Bob was so busy trying to figure out how to get his money back that he lost on Terrence so he can build a mansion in Malibu. He lost so much money on Bud.
Allegedly.
So, allegedly. So, they're not going to put any money. Bob gets the budget and we put it in this pocket and he's not promoting.
The craziest part is you want to take a U.S. fighter overseas and build an audience for him instead of building the audience here that he still needs to be built. Yeah, that's the craziest shit of it.
And this is the largest market, right?
For him, yes.
For him, clearly. And it's nuts when you think about it. And so here's going to be a good example of side by side when we talk about the business of boxing. You look at how Bob Arum with ESPN has promoted Ramirez and Taylor. Now, let's watch what happens. To me, in its totality, not in skill, but in terms of accomplishment and in terms of complete. I'm gonna give you two names. Another fight: Jermell Charlo versus Brian Castano. That's another thing for undisputed, right? That's at the super welterweight or junior middleweight division, 154 pounds. That's most likely going to be on Showtime or Fox, one of those. So that's PBC. So let's watch how they promote that, which is again an undisputed title fight at 154 versus how Top Rank and ESPN promotes a undisputed 140-pound fight. And the reason why I'm saying it is you got two guys who are as accomplished and have the personalities and have the kind of recognition as Taylor and Ramirez in the game. Those two together, to me, have more cachet than Jermell Charlo and Brian Castano. Now, Mel has a cachet, Lions only. Big up to the Charlo twins. Big up to Mel for being one of the best and being cheated and being the top 5 pound-for-pound fighter that he is. He carries his weight, but let's be honest, Castano doesn't carry the weight. He's not very well known. He don't have a cachet. No. That's why I say this fight, from a marketing standpoint, is a bigger fight and should have been promoted better, but Charlo versus Castano will be actually marketed a lot better.
So we both know that the marketing campaign and the way that Top Rank goes about things is horrible. But from what I understand from what he was saying in the press conference, that there was a ban for people from the UK, Scotland, and everything else to come over. They weren't allowed to come over. But people from like Russia and everything else were allowed to come over. So I guess that may have been part of the issue. I don't know. I'm only regurgitating what that man said.
And look, you got Zoom, you got technology. There's a whole bunch of different creative things that they could have done to be promoting, to be hyping this fight. Yeah, we know it's COVID. Yes, I know the European Union, which now the UK is separate from, have had their own policies in regards to travel restrictions. However, a lot of fights were promoted via Zoom, press conferences, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's just simply no excuse. What it was they were just apathetic and they were just lazy. Absolutely. Because they know they could save more money.
Because you could have still promoted that to a all Latin crowd, and that would have went crazy.
Yeah, you could have promoted it definitely well in advance. You could have. There's anything you could have done. I mean, you could have promoted, past the pandemic, however you want to label it or market it or brand it. There's so many different things they could have done. Yeah. They could have said, this is the kickoff, big fight of the year for all the big fights. This is we're the first. And so just like when you look at, like, say, the difference in marketing, like with the UFC, when the pandemic is going on, Dana was like, well, we were the first in sport to come back and push through this and make this happen. And, I don't agree with everything with Dana White's politics, but from a business standpoint, I give the man immense credit because in his business model, the best fight the best, always. And he understands that there's value in being first, and he knows the value of what he's marketing. Where it seems like Top Rank undervalues, and in the case of Crawford, a lot of times devalues their assets and what they have in their cupboard to promote. And they just don't want to make the proper necessary investment.
How upset must Bud be at this point? Because I know I would be like, yo, I'm going to fucking hurt somebody.
I slept on this and I shared the same thing with you. Big ups to Arrow Man Down strap season for the hashtag blame Bob joint. Yeah. That was hilarious.
Yeah, when you sent me that, I was like, yo, why didn't I pay attention to that? But I was so enamored by the flyer. I'm like, yo, they really doing that shit.
But let's be honest, bro. I thought about this. I think Bud is perfectly okay with this and perfectly fine with this.
You got to be.
So let's use logic. Not the common sense is common, but let's just be real about it. Pacquiao could have fought Crawford when he was signed with Top Rank years ago, 5-6 years ago. He could have fought him when he was younger, when Bud was younger, greener, not all the way in his prime, when Manny was closer to his prime, or definitely considerably younger. And it was an easy fight to make. They were both in the same outfit. And Bob can talk all the noise he wants to about we didn't want to see Manny get hurt, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, the fighters decide who they want to fight. Bob can't tell Manny shit. If Manny's like, no, I'm going to fight this dude, get that paper ready, then Bob is going to run that.
Right.
Because Manny calls the shots. So, to me, I think Bud is fine. This is par for the course and part of his strategy anyway. It's the path of least resistance for him. And he's hoping it's the path of diminished returns for Earl. He's like, look, man, while you over there being diminished going through these wars, I'm going to stay fresh and I'm going to go ahead and pick my way through, the shallow end of the pool while you over there treading water the deep end. So he thinks. And to me, that's the way he views it. Now, people
that will look good. Here's the problem. Once you fight a guy like Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, an upcoming fight with Manny Pacquiao, you have taken
Mikey
Garcia. You have taken bits and pieces from each one of these fights, so it has made you better. And I don't think he's taken a lot of damage in the process. The most damage he's probably taken is from a Sean Porter fight, and that's because he wanted to. That's because he wanted to.
Yeah, I think he's taking more damage in sparring and training. Honestly, I think that's more wear and tear on him. It was just, at that point in time, it was cutting the weight. And I'll let you allude to the fact that the trainer that he's with now and how he's approaching it, the lifestyle changes he's made.
Blu-ray.
I think that's gonna make all the difference in the world for him moving forward. Manny. And the thing is, he when he made those changes, he knew these big fights were coming. And so he's like, I got to get everything right. I got to get my life right. I got to get my mind right. I got to get my body right. I got to line everything up because, I was able to do all that and still win. But against the elite guys, I got to come in there with my A game. And you got to give yourself the best shot. You can't do that drinking, hanging out, having fat caps, cutting weight instead of training. And I'll let you speak. You can speak to his new trainer and training regimen or a guy he was with before.
So the guy he had before was Blu-ray. Blu-ray is a guy that kept Errol in tip-top condition, like as far as making sure he was strong enough, like he was durable. We all know Errol can fight and he can scrap and he has the will and determination to do it. But what Blu-ray does is he intensifies that and he enhances it. Without Blu-ray, I don't think he's knocked out anybody or brutally beat the shit out of anybody. I don't think he's done anything like that. With Blu-ray, that sense of confidence and that and the luxury of having that type of determination, it brings out something totally different. That intensity, you know what I mean, and working out hard and strengthening his core. Because I know one of the main things when I look at Earl, he's gonna have to strengthen his core against a guy like Manny Pacquiao because those punches are gonna be coming from different angles. You're gonna have to some point be able to turn, move, slide, roll, and be able to push Manny the fuck off. So Blu-ray does. Blu-ray does a hell of a job with Errol, keeping him intense and keeping him motivated. I'm not saying that Derrick James doesn't, but this is to me, this is the missing piece that Errol needs. He's already a fantastic boxer. We've seen that. We know he can get in there and bang, but this will make his brave heart go to another level. And I don't really know how to explain it for anybody that's listening, but there's certain things like, I don't know if anybody out there has ever worked out, but you know how you feel before you work out. And then once you build a routine and you get used to it and you start to feel better, he brings that out of Errol. And you all will see very soon how it looks. You will see, because it's going to be a totally different Errol Spence. He does a hell of a job with Errol.
Like when he fought Chris Algieri, you can just look at his body and see the difference,
the cut,
conditioning, the cut, the strength. When you look at when he fought Mikey Garcia, look at his body. I mean, he still, is in shape. When you look at him when he fought Mikey Garcia, you look at his body and everything and his energy level when he fought Sean Porter. I mean, that was just the dog in him and raw ability. But then when you looked at when he fought, Bundu, when he fought Algieri, and the way he was just literally walking through these guys and punishing them and just the relentless pressure. And I mean, he's a pressure fighter. But now you back up not just the mental pressure, but the ability to execute the physical pressure from beginning to end. I think that's the difference that that Blu-ray is going to bring to the table. And you're 100% right. Manny comes with punches and bunches from angles with a lot of speed and power. He's got a very strong lower body. He's got those calves, and that's he explodes. And so Errol is going to have to be ready with his footwork. He's going to have a strong core, keep a strong center of gravity. Because let's be honest, when Thurman got caught with that flash knockdown in the first round, it wasn't that it was a big punch. Manny he does an awkward movement and he gets you to react and he catches you off balance. And once he gets you to shift that weight and you're off balance, he lands that punch. And if you get hit and you're off balance, you're going to drop.
Yeah.
And so that's a big part of Manny's game.
But it's just the punches, the volume, man. Like that volume.
The volume. He keeps coming with it.
Yeah, he hit Keith with a body shot, and the Keith was like, "Oh, shit, he hit me with a body shot while I'm backing up," and then that hand comes over the top.
This is the problem with Keith Thurman. Like I hear people comparing the Pacquiao Thurman fight to Pacquiao Spence.
Nah, it ain't the same.
Extremely, it couldn't be any more different. They have very different styles. They have different compositions. They have different mindset, mentality. There's a different level of physical strength. Keith Thurman is orthodox. Errol Spence is southpaw. Keith Thurman is more of a boxer. Spence is a boxer puncher. Thurman used to be a boxer puncher, but he would set more traps and he uses more movement. Errol's movement is forward. Errol's movement is to walk you down, to cut off the ring and apply the pressure. Now, of course, with Mikey Garcia, he showed a different side of his game to be able to show people he can box, that he can go move laterally, he can score punches, going backwards and doing things. And I think that's going to be an interesting thing for Pacquiao. I think Pacquiao was watching Errol trying to figure it out. We know this guy can fight good going forwards, but if I use my movement to move all around and bounce and do the typical Manny Pacquiao thing, like keep him off balance, then he can't come forward and get me. I think the thing with Errol that's sneaky is he's so fundamentally sound. He doesn't overreact to what the other fighter's doing. You don't see Errol drop his hands because a bunch of punches are coming. And I know Manny's different. And the big difference between Errol and Keith is Errol's sending something back.
Yeah, he will, but he'll have to get adjusted to that speed of Manny first. Once it's going to be a whirlwind fighting in there with that octopus.
True, he will, but I think Errol's the octopus, and I'm gonna tell you what the octopus, the tentacles the Errol have is that jab. Manny Pacquiao hasn't fought anybody that has a jab as good as Errol Spence's jab. If people don't think Errol Spence's jab is a problem, even though he's an orthodox fighter, go see Danny Garcia.
Not just that, but even so, it go back to the Miguel Cotto fight. Those first couple rounds, Cotto was winning off the jab. He just jabbed him. I don't know what the hell made him change up and start fighting with him, but you were winning off the jab.
Because Manny mesmerizes you with that movement, and he gets you to fight his type of fight.
No, you have to do is stay behind the jab.
To me, it's like a snake charmer. He snakes charms guys. Because again, he's mixing it up. You got this little guy, compact guy. Come in. Coming on this weird rhythm. And you're like, man, I'm going to mix it up with this guy. And he gets guys off the thing. The thing about Errol don't switch it up for nobody in terms of like, you're not going to fluster him. He'll go ahead, he'll shell up almost like a little winky right a little bit. But he doesn't shell up and look at you. He shells up to a certain extent, and then he picks his punches. I still think he picks his punches against Manny, and I think that's going to frustrate the hell out of Manny, that Errol won't get out of character because of what Manny does. And I think the biggest surprise that Manny's going to find out is Errol will set traps, having him thinking he's backing Errol up, looking for the angle. And I think that jab is going to be there waiting on him. Errol's not going to sell out and expose himself.
No, it's going to be everything off the jab. That's how it's going. Yeah. That's how it's going to come down to it. Everything off the jab for Errol. I'm telling you though, he's going to have to understand what that speed is. So that speed is going to be a motherfucker.
Yeah. That speed is a motherfucker, and it's different type of speed. But,
yes, sir.
Errol sparred Mayweather, and Mayweather's quick. It's a different type of quickness. It's a different type of power, obviously. But I have a lot of confidence that Errol can deal with the speed, because the one thing that offsets speed is timing and distance management. And if you don't think Errol can manage distance, again, go see Mikey Garcia, go see Danny Garcia. Now, those guys aren't as quick as Manny with feet or hands. The difference is he makes it look so easy managing the distance. I think it's going to be more difficult to manage the distance against Manny, but I don't see Manny being able to offset that jab. I just don't. I know Manny
at some point he's gonna dart in too fast, or
he's gonna get caught.
He's gonna get caught. And
he's gonna get caught. That's my prediction. My prediction is he gets caught. He gets caught coming in, and he gets hurt, either knocked down or knocked out, or he feels the thudding, the power that Errol can absorb what he's doing, and he feels it, and then he decides, I can't keep jumping in like that, to which then he has to kind of somewhat pick his moments when he thinks Errol's taking a break, which if Errol's in a good condition, that's going to be far and few in between, which is why the conditioning and everything with Blu-ray, like you were talking about, is so important. But I think then Errol walks him down, and then I think it's I'm going to punish you to the body, I'm going to punish you, I'm going to slow you down, I'm going to make those big legs super heavy come toward the end of the fight, and I'm just gonna wear you down, and then he's gonna stop the fight because I'm just wailing on you. Yeah. I see that being the most likely outcome, or I just see Errol check hooking his ass off the jab, because Manny will try to figure out how to get past the jab, and I just see Errol doing the same thing to him, that kind of like what Mayweather did to Hatton. You know, Hatton got hit with so many jabs, and then you think, even though we know that Floyd fights off the back foot, he thinks Errol can't fight off the back foot, and I think Errol realizes, okay, cool, the check right hook is there to be had with Manny all day long. And
we're gonna see, man.
We'll see.
This is gonna be awesome. I love this. I love this because it's gonna be two southpaws at the highest level, man. And
that's Manny, the other thing.
And Manny has been there for so long.
Yeah, he's been there for so long. He's seen it all. But the other thing Manny hasn't seen is a guy he's seen big guys. but not a guy who's that fundamentally sound and responsible, and not a guy who is not going to headhunt. Errol's not infatuated with headhunting. Errol is some of what you see Canelo doing. They just want to hit something, shoulders, arms.
Yeah.
It's going to break you down.
Yeah.
And I think Errol's just going to punish him wherever he can. And I think that's going to have an effect on Manny and affect Manny's game. I don't care how quick you are. If a guy's, putting dents in that armor.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to, because we're not, I don't think we're going to get vintage Manny. I think we're going to get the guy who came into the ring after he got knocked out. We're going to get the guy who's going to dart in, but he's not going to dart in full speed. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to figure out some things. But I believe once Errol gets accustomed to the power and speed, then he'll start making his like you said, putting chinks into the armor and everything.
Yeah. I mean, again, the key is the jab. The key is going to be doubling up the jab, tripling up the jab, and moving the jab, because Manny moves.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest mistake people move with Manny is they don't move the jab, so he works around the jab. One thing Errol does, Errol moves his jab, and that's why Danny Garcia was reluctant to walk in and try to land bigger shots, because he realized, oh man, I can move. And Danny doesn't move a lot, but I can parry, I can slide, I can do this and that. But this guy is just a jab machine. This is, it's going to keep coming. It doesn't matter what I do, it's going to keep coming. And I think that's I think that's what Manny's going to deal with. I think Errol might let him on the inside just to mix it up and have a little fun for a minute, just to kind of punish him to the body and trade to a certain extent. But I think for the most part, he's going to keep the fight at a distance. He's going to keep Manny at the end of that jab. And that's just right. It's not going to be Manny versus Marquez. It's not going to be those type of fireworks.
No.
I think it's going to be a more tactical, boring at certain points. And I think he's just literally going to control Manny with the jab.
Yeah. And of course the breakdown, if he can get to him, he's gonna do the breakdown and to the body and everything. But I'm excited, man. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, I got up early this morning, juiced up off this shit. Like, this shit's like cocaine. Like, hearing that a fight like this is going to take place. It's just awesome to hear. But
and this fight puts Manny Pacquiao in my top 5. No matter what happens in this fight.
What? He could have been top 5 to me at any fucking point. But my only thing with Manny was, I always wonder why he never was like undisputed at any weight class. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing that I question about it. Like, and it's not a question about his career, but why at any point, because he was so goddamn vicious, how come he was never like undisputed at any weight class?
I think some guys dug Manny. I think some guys clearly dug Manny, didn't want to fight him. Whether you call it promotional issues, because he was with Bob. I mean, he was with Bob Arum. Let's not forget about that. So,
that too.
So I think it had a lot to do with that. And Manny was always about making the biggest fights. It may have been a guy who had a belt, but if there was another guy in the division who everybody knew was clearly the better fighter, Manny went for that fight to make the bigger fight, which is why he makes big money during his fights, because he fights competition. One thing I'm hoping Canelo Alvarez looks at what Manny Pacquiao was doing at 42 and the types of challenges that he's taken, and maybe it will inspire Canelo to get on his horse and say, man, if Manny is still chasing greatness at 42, what the hell am I doing at 30 years old, 31 in my prime? I need to take on like real challenges that not the casual fan, not the lamestream media who's trying to, cover their own asses and, do their boss's biddings, but people who really know what the really top fights are.
Yeah.
Everybody knows with Canelo, Rocky Fielding was not a type fight. Everybody knows BJ Saunders was not a top fight. Everybody knows Kovalev wasn't a top fight. People know the top fights for Canelo are, not to change subject, but Charlo, David Benavidez, if you want to go 75, Better BF, Bivol. People know who the top fighters are, or Zerto. People know who the top fighters are. The casual fans have no idea. That's why they're casual.
Yeah.
They're being told what to think. They don't know any better. But for people like us, he knows we know. And it's time for him to stop stealing money and look at a true warrior like Manny Pacquiao.
Because the conversation is going to come up. You know, how come you at 28, 29, 30 are fighting these guys, but you haven't fought the rest of these guys who actually can give you some go. And we haven't seen that. I salute Manny Pacquiao, man. He would have been top 5 to me. If I had to name him, of course I would, but he was already, you know, a legend and a warrior to me. But once he did this, I was like, God damn, man.
Yeah, he was in my top 10 by him taking this type of challenge and risk. And at the age, and then, you know, look at it. It's not like he hadn't fought since 2019. That's another thing. I have nothing but immense respect for what he's doing. Now, of course, I'm curious about the contract.
Salute to Manny Pacquiao.
Will there be the testing in this contract like there wasn't in the Thurman contract? Yeah. I can't wait to see those details. You know, Errol might be like, you know what, I don't, you know, if I have to argue about all that, I'm not gonna get the fight. You know what? He do what he do, I do what I do.
Right.
I'm not gonna trip on it. It is what it is. We don't know. And you know, not throwing shade at Manny, but you know, people have suspected certain things, but it's never been proven. He's never ever tested positive.
Yeah.
But you know, with the big jump, he's the only 8 division weight, you know, champion.
Correct.
And so people are curious how you know, carry that type of power and go up that many weight classes. You know, he could either be the freak of nature or, you know, it could be something else.
Yeah.
In this day and era with the era of PEDs, you just never know. But Manny has been steered clear of that, never been tested positive, never popped for anything, never been guilty of anything. Right. So definitely want to say that. But that is one detail on the business side of the boxing. I'll be curious to see if that's in this contract, because it wasn't in the Keith Thurman contract.
It was not, but I mean, the guy, man, like legendary. Like, who would expect him at 42 to take that fight? And I felt we had been talking about, it's like, yo, he's probably gonna take some big fight and go out with a bang and ride off into the sunset. But
Matt, what's Manny's last 3 fights? What's Manny Pacquiao's last 3 fights? So we know. So let me take it right now. So we're gonna be Errol, right? Before that, it was Keith Thurman. Who I don't remember. Who was it before Keith Thurman? I don't remember.
Was it Mayweather?
No,
who was it? Let me check. Let me check.
About somebody else. It's just nuts. So he's 42 years old. A lot of fights. You know, you look at him. You look at Canelo, right? So let's look at the last 3 to 5 fights he's fought. Let's look at the last 3 to 5 fights that Canelo's fought. And, you know, who's fought the bigger, better challenges?
Well, let me pull it up for Manny. All right. Keith Thurman, Adrian Broner, Lucas Matisse, and then the so-called loss to Jeff Horn, which I don't see as a loss.
Yeah, that wasn't a loss. That was nonsense. That was a robbery. That wasn't even a boxing match. That was MMA. Who did he fight before Jeff Horn?
Jesse Vargas.
Okay, so he fought Jesse Vargas. He fought Horn. He's fought Broner. He's fought Matisse.
Yeah.
He's fought Thurman. Now, Canelo has fought BJ Saunders, Avni Yildirim.
Yeah.
Callum Smith, Rocky Fielding.
Yeah. But you know what they're gonna say? They were all champions.
Again, we just had this conversation. So yeah, they can all be champions, and that works for the casual fan. Manny's fighting champions too, but we know these guys are all better respectively in their divisions as champions than the guys I just named that Canelo fought.
Any of them. And if you were to put, here's the other thing that you got to think about. Would anybody else have beaten those same guys that Canelo fought? And the answer is going to be yes. If you put any one of those guys in front of Bivol, Beterbiev, Charlo, or Benavidez. Benavidez brutally beats the shit out of them.
Honestly, Caleb Plant beats all those guys.
Facts plus tax.
Caleb Plant beats all those guys. So I'm not impressed. Not at all. And so Canelo has to, look, respect to Canelo. You put respect on his name. He's a legend, but he's about to be surpassed by Errol Spence, bro. That's the next thing I want to talk about.
I can't say he's a legend. Spence, I can't say he's a legend. No.
I'm gonna say he's a legend because he's fought. Now here's the thing. In the essence of he's been a winner. He has one defeat on his record to Floyd Mayweather. No shame there. And he has fought a lot of names. Yes, Andre and Plant Wright, he fought him at the right time. Very true. But he did it, and he's had longevity. He's stayed healthy. I get into clenbuterol thing. I have an issue with that too. I get all that. But technically speaking, he's legend. He's not a top legend to me.
I don't see it.
But I would still consider him that. I know he's even marketed as that. But at the end of the day, what I really want to focus on with this, not more so Canelo, but look at the opportunity Errol Spence has in front of him. How many guys are going to be able to say, I was able to fight Manny Pacquiao and Canelo Alvarez?
Well, we'll get to that, monster, when we get there. I'm not worried about that.
And that fight is going to happen. If Errol beats Manny, he definitely becomes the king of boxing because he's shown such respect to Manny. And to me, this is either Manny, wins and it's like, man, he's just catapulted in the stratosphere. I can't believe he beat a prime Errol Spence, or he loses and it's a pass the torch type of fight. And the type of champion and person that Errol Spence is, he's a guy you can root for. You look at his personal story, you look at what he's overcome, the changes he's made. He's going to win over a lot of Manny Pacquiao fans. A lot of Manny Pacquiao fans like Errol Spence.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to make him bigger in this market than Canelo. And it's going to make him the clear pay-per-view star. He did better numbers than Canelo. Granted, it was a pandemic, but he outdid Canelo numbers-wise in the last year, in 2020. So now I think with this fight, he's going to outdo Canelo for sure. With this Pacquiao fight this year, he's going to outdo him in 2021.
I just wish it would have been at Cowboy Stadium because Manny's been there before. I
wish it would have too, but Manny doesn't want to do that because that's Earl's backyard.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't have it where I'm going somewhere and I'm going to be trill with you. Where's Manny gone? But his fans were in the minority. If that fight, I don't care how many Pacquiao fans you got. If that fight would have been in Jerry's world, Earl would have had more fans than Manny.
Probably.
Oh yeah, he would have.
But his people would have showed up for that fight.
No, his people would show up. They'd be more Earl's people.
Yeah, but I don't think he's worried about that. I think he's mostly worried about being in that town. The judge selection and everything, which I feel like as an A-side fighter, he could control that too. Like he has all that.
And Earl said, look, if I fight Manny, he can be the A-side. Cool. I mean, that lets you know that he's the A-side because it's not in Jerry's world. It's not in Dallas. But I do think it is the fans. And I do think it is also the comfort that Errol has fighting there. He's very comfortable fighting in that arena. And a lot of his fights have been in that arena. So I think Manny wants to drag him out of his comfort zone, put him in Vegas in front of even, brighter lights. Because Vegas is a different type of bright light situation than Jerry's World in Dallas, out there in Arlington, actually. Yeah. And I think he's looking for any advantage he can get.
Yeah, he want to give him that hot bright light. That's what he want to get.
That hot Vegas strip bright light. That is drinks everywhere. And clubs everywhere, bright lights, if you know what I mean. It's much easier to train and stay on top of your game in Texas than it is in Vegas.
And then the big billboards with your name on it.
Oh,
kind of fucking with your ego.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's mental. It's psychological. Man. I think Manny's looking for whatever advantage he can get. And I think it's a shrewd move to pull it out of Texas. Because I think, it's one thing to where you're going to go into the fight as the underdog, which he will, but it's another thing to go in as an underdog in somebody's backyard.
Yeah.
And so, I definitely think it won't be that. That's why I wasn't shocked in a sense that it wasn't in Texas, even though Manny fought there. But Manny didn't want to go somewhere where he wasn't going to be the biggest thing. You fight in Jerry's world and you fight in Errol Spence, he's the biggest thing there.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be close to football. Is that August, right?
August 21st.
Football season, so you got like the preseason and all that too. So They probably was like,
that fight is at nighttime on a Saturday.
oh yeah,
that wouldn't affect that wouldn't have affected anything. It had nothing to do with that. The scheduling, Jerry, like all that money, Jerry Jones would have made it happen.
Oh, you know that
would have been easy. I just think Manny was like, I'm the A side. I'm trying to make you as uncomfortable as possible, which whatever I can do to gain any advantage, because I have some clear disadvantages. So I need to try to level the playing field however I can. And so that's why it's in Vegas, like you said, under the hot, bright lights.
Oh yeah.
In Vegas, and there'll be a hella scrutiny. Vegas is tighter knit. Texas, everything is spread out. Errol can kind of relax and be the country boy. In Vegas, they're all on top of you, bro.
Oh yeah. You gotta deal with everybody. You're gonna see everybody.
Yeah, you're gonna see everybody. You gotta deal with a lot of distractions. And Manny, that's where he had his experience is unparalleled. And I think that's what he wants to do. But I think if he was I think that would have been effective pre-crash Errol. That'd have been effective. That would have been, I think that strategy would have been highly effective post Kell Brook and pre-crash Errol. Post-crash Errol is different. Farm, animals, always with his kids. Dialed in.
Yeah.
Looking for subtle improvements, looking for any advantage he can do to help improve his game. And so I think Manny's gonna be in for a rude awakening.
I think that was some bright lights when he fought Kell Brook now, and that was on someone else's turf.
Yeah, it was on somebody's turf, but again, he wasn't champion then. He wasn't pay-per-view Errol then.
True. But
that's when he was hungry.
He felt it though. He knew what that shit felt like.
No, he felt the pressure going over to another country, time difference too over there.
Yeah.
All of that, the media, the pressure. In the UK is a whole different type of trap house, and so he was able to overcome that and win. That is that.
And said he knew. He said I'm going in there to knock him out. I know. He said, I know I can't get.
He felt he wasn't going on the scorecard. So
bang.
We knew that was a tough task and a high hill to climb. But I think for him, I think it's a different Errol, and I think he's found the hunger again. And I think that's what's going to sustain him and keep him centered. And I think he's tightened up his circle too.
Oh, of course.
So I think he'll be fine. It should be interesting, and I think he knows what a big opportunity this is. And this training camp definitely won't be a fat camp.
We know that. We know that
he's gonna be training, and I think his sparring is gonna come in. And I really can't wait to hear about his sparring partners. That's going to be very interesting to see who he gets to come in and spar.
I don't think he does anything special, man.
He doesn't. But I'm wondering if he will from Manny, just because of the unorthodox movement and the speed. And also Manny's a smaller guy.
Yeah, like 5'5",
and also a southpaw.
5'4". Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to, look to find some different partners. I think he'll still keep his normal regimen, but I think he's going to have to mix in some different looks. Something similar to a Pacquiao. So when he
and Shakur Stevenson been asking for them rounds too, so this is probably going to get him some rounds.
I think Shakur Stevenson would be a phenomenal sparring partner.
Him and Gary Russell.
Him and Gary Russell be a phenomenal. That's a very good one. Him, Gary Russell. I know it wouldn't happen. I'd even say Vasyl Lomachenko would be a good sparring partner. Nice. Now I know that's not going to happen. But Shakur is the most likely because they've got a relationship. Gary Russell is possible because I know they people know each other. So we'll see what happens. But I think he needs that type of work.
Yeah,
would help him.
Yeah, but I from what I understand, it don't matter. Like he gonna go in there and do him, and that's why Errol is such a good fighter, because no matter what you do in the ring, he just lays out his game plan and he sticks to it. And that he's one of the few fighters that know how to do that. Floyd was very good at that. Mike Tyson was very good at that. Pacquiao was good at that. They're just certain fighters that it just doesn't matter what type of skill set you have in the ring. They just know to lay down the game plan and stick to it throughout. So
Earl is definitely the most disciplined. One of the most at the high level, one of the most disciplined fighters when it comes to executing the game plan. people, bring up the Porter fight. Like, look, if he wanted to keep Porter at the end of that jab and do all that, he could have did that. That wasn't his game plan. He wanted to fight Porter's fight. He said it before the fight. I'm gonna beat you at your fight, at the way you want to fight. So I think he knows, like you said, I agree with you 100%. I think he's gonna go in there and just do what he does, and everybody knows what's coming. The funny thing is, you know what's coming, but can you stop it? People always talk, he's not dynamic. Oh, he doesn't do this. Oh, he doesn't. But nobody stopped him from doing what he wants to do.
Neither was the Spurs, pimp, and they won championships.
Yeah.
Tim Duncan went to the playoffs every year that he was in the league, man. So it ain't about how it looked. It's can you fucking stop the show? And I haven't seen nobody yet put a stop to what Earl did or what the Spurs did or what Utah Jazz did. Well, Utah Jazz ran into Michael Jordan. That's a different subject. But like they stick to their game plan. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm really excited for the fight. I'm glad that it's been booked. This is just crazy. I'm still excited that that they were actually able to make that fight happen.
So the intrigue is going to be funny, though. The intrigue is going to be funny, right? So they're fighting first. You heard what Bob said. So obviously, Bud is waiting all the way to September. So it's going to be very interesting. What do you do if you got Pacquiao Spence there? If you're Bud Crawford, how do you not go to that fight? But then if you go there, how do you I told you I still think what I think. I think he's cool with avoiding all the smoke and taking the path of least resistance. But at the end of the day, in terms of the optics, you think he shows up to that fight, bro?
I think so. But in this situation, after you just stole this fight from me, I wouldn't even show up, man. I wouldn't even show up.
It's nowhere in the world. I'm gonna fight Manny Pacquiao. Sean Porter, I'm not gonna fight you. I'm working on something big. If I don't do something big, I'm gonna come back to you. That's not the truth. You didn't do it. And I feel bad for Sean. Sean, I feel like tucked his tail between his legs and walked backwards when he shouldn't have. I'd have been like, bro, you told me, okay, damn. How come we can't make a fight? We should be able to make a fight. You and I fighting is a bigger fight than you fighting Taylor or Ramirez. Let's keep it real.
And the other thing was supposed to have been a so-called money issue. Like, how is it? Remember, Sean was like, how are you going to offer me $1 million to fight at the top level?
Yeah.
He said, this is a pay-per-view fight. You can sell this fight.
Yeah.
I'm a pay-per-view guy. How do you not sell this fight and offer me $1 million too? Come on, man.
Yeah, it's like, look, man, I fought Earl Spence. And so when I fought Earl Spence, what was that situation? So if I fought Errol Spence and I got X and it was set up this way, why should it be different with you? But again, that's Bob Arum, though. That's Bob Arum. And also it's also Bud, because he okay with it. Because if he wanted to do something different, he would do something different. And he's clearly not wanting. He's done nothing. So maybe it's that, or Bud can surprise us all. The only way Bud can be redeemable in any of this, in my eyes, is if when his contract is up, he does not re-sign with Top Rank. He comes over to PBC, and then he comes to PBC for all the smoke. Then I would give Bud credit, saying, okay, he took it light, just trying to fulfill his whatever he could do to get up from these Bob Arum. He finally, almost like KG, he finally left the Timberwolves in enough time to win a championship. And okay, cool, realize this is not the best situation for me. I got to go somewhere else. So we'll see what he does.
But me and you already feel like that's going to be what he does. But at that point, that's the only, but it's like the only option that you really have, because all the belts are over here. There's nothing else for you to really do over there.
It's not the only option he has. Now, all the other options he has are lesser and poorer options. But, I mean, let's be honest, they've been making lesser and poorer options already. So, I mean, that would be kind of like their modus operandi anyway. So, for me, if to you and I, we think, oh, he's definitely going to do that. That's our common sense, right? That's how we would see it. But that's not how they've been moving. So, I actually don't expect him to make that move. I would be shocked if he left Top Rank and came to PBC to come for the competition. I fully expect him to re-sign with Top Rank and just go a whole different route. That's what I expect.
That would be so ridiculous. All of Top Rank's top fighters have always left because of the situation that they're in. And it didn't make any sense to me. Why would you even offer Sean Porter? Like, that's just like saying Sean Porter isn't worth his weight, his medal. Like, come on,
he
man.
did it. He did it to say, well, you can't say I didn't talk to him. You can't say I didn't make an offer. I tried. Again, it's politics. It's to say, well, I gave him opportunity. He just didn't want it.
A guy that fought Danny
him.
Garcia, Keith Thurman, and Errol Spence.
Yeah, but he clearly doesn't want to smoke with Sean. He clearly, Bob's telling him what to do. He ain't calling his shots. Bob calling the shots. Bob like, no, he's facing the winner of Taylor-Ramirez. Think about that. Bob made that announcement. Crawford didn't make that announcement. Bob made that announcement.
Yeah. All just to hold on to that one strap, huh?
All to hold on to. They want to make sure a couple things. They know they're guaranteed to keep all the 140-pound straps in Top Tank. Now it's also about, we got to still keep one piece of that welterweight title in Top Tank. So that's what it's all about. It's for them. It ain't even chess. It's checkers. We're gonna hop over here and collect the red checker.
So I wonder what they're gonna do. So do they take Manny out of the recess, champion in recess, and then put him back into that spot?
You know what? I don't think they're gonna do that, because that would look bad. That would almost, it wouldn't be as bad, but it will be akin to. Now they could do it because he's champion in recess. You can come out of recess, then what happens, right? Because Ugas didn't win the belt; he got awarded the belt because Manny was stripped, or he was, kind of like put in the champ. He was in recess. I would like to see it happen because it's Manny Pacquiao. I would like to see Manny, because Manny did not lose the strap in the ring. I would like to see him, have that build up.
Correct.
But I also wouldn't blame them, because it's like, Manny had an opportunity to do something. He didn't do it. But we still got Ugas. But if you're the WBA, you got to be thinking, man, that's a big money fight.
Yeah. Sanctioning fees. We'll make cash off that.
Oh, yes. And so I agree with you. I think they're going to do that. I think they're going to say, well, we said he was in a recess. But what about if he comes out of recess?
Correct.
And all we did say he had to fight somebody in the top 10. Errol Spence is clearly in the top 10. And this is a unification fight. So they will be well within their rights. Now, that would completely fuck Ugas, right? In a sense, because Ugas' really only chance to get a big money fight on any level is if he has that belt, whether he can try to make it with Bud or whether he makes it with Errol in-house. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what,
I think that's the route they're gonna. I think that's the route they're gonna go. Usually a commission, a body, whatever it is, for the WBO, WBC, or whoever it is, WBA, they all get together and they decide what is the best fight to happen. So I feel like that's gonna be the one, and they just say, well, we'll give you Errol after he wins the belt or some shit like that.
We can say what we'll do is you'll go back to where you were before. You'll be the mandatory, right? Correct. Jamal James is the regular champion. You were the mandatory. You were next up for the super champion. We had to put that champion in recess, so we elevated you. Now we're going to have to, he's out of recess because he's clearly assigning a fight. He is fighting with an approved top fighter in a unification fight.
Absolutely.
To me, it would make sense to take Manny out of recess and give him the belt back that he earned by beating Keith Thurman. And Ugas would just be one of the guys next up in line for, a title shot. And to me, that's how you'd have to, that's how I would do it if I was a sanctioning body. That makes the most sense. And let's be honest, it's Manny Pacquiao or your Daniel Ugas, who you got. I got Manny Pacquiao. So to me, it should be a unification fight. It should be. Manny should go into that fight as a champion, not just a legend, but a champion. Yeah. And those three belts should all be on the line.
Yeah, that's the way I would like for it to happen. And it's no disrespect to Ugas or anything like that. It's just that we all know who Manny Pacquiao is. He was champ in recess because he didn't fight. So I'm sure he's going to be quite refreshed from everything, coming back to boxing and everything. That's going to be a hell of a fight.
Yeah, and to me, you got to do it because it's not like Manny took a cupcake fight or fought Conor McGregor and then came back. His very next fight after being in recess is Errol Spence.
Right.
So to me, you kind of have to give him the belt back. And maybe Ugas, here it is. You want to fight Jamal James. He's a regular champion. So not only would you be next up, but you'll be the regular champion. So you and Jamal James fight, and then when it's time to come back around for whoever wins this fight, you're gonna be one of the top 3 guys.
I know it has to be a shitty situation though to have to go and do that. Like, yo, bro, we gotta take the belt back. We gotta.
Yeah, but you know what? Back. But how did you get the belt?
It was handed to you because Manny had to go sit down and do and worry about.
It was emailed to him, right? Yeah. And it's not. The thing is, he's not an email champion. And Manny didn't duck him. He was given the fight because again, Manny's inactivity. He didn't fight enough time per the rules and regulations of WBA. Yeah. However, Manny should get his belt back because it's not like he ducked his mandatory or ducked somebody. Yeah. He's coming back in a unification fight. Unification fights always take precedent over everything.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why that whole Canelo Avenue Yildirim nonsense is some hot trash.
We know that. And he was like I don't even want to discuss that guy, but he was number 3 on the WBC list. So you could have easily fought.
Which he shouldn't have been number 3. And on top of that,
how fought the number 1 guy who was David.
How is he? How are you number 3 or the mandatory, and you coming off your last 4 fights? You lost 3 of them, and then also, if you Canelo Alvarez, you're the franchise champion. Franchise champions don't fight mandatories. They don't have mandatories.
It's a destination, not a belt, or whatever they said it was.
No, they changed it. They changed it. See, they changed it for Teofimo Lopez. See, Suleiman messed himself up. At first, it was a designation. Then, when Teofimo beat Lomachenko, then they changed it because Devin Haney was WBC champion. They changed it because, again, ESPN, all that cap. Oh, Teofimo he's undisputed. No, he's not undisputed. But they say he's undisputed. So then Suleiman, of course, is like, oh, okay, well, man, the big networks, they don't want to produce the budgets. That's where the money comes from. So I get my sanctioning fees. I got to make them happy. So now we're going to change it from a designation to a belt. So what's a belt and a designation? At the end of the day, that's why Devin Haney called it a duck belt.
Of course.
And they all called it a duck belt. So
because we're going to give you the belt just in case you lose. And that belt goes over to somebody that we know we don't want to have that belt. Because,
it was a designation, which was supposed to be non-transferable.
Correct.
So the franchise was created for these special, high-end, legendary type fighters.
Of course.
Who's more legendary than Manny Pacquiao?
None of them.
Where's Manny Pacquiao's franchise designation?
Manny don't ask for no franchise.
Because Manny didn't ask for no franchise.
Manny don't
ask for that. Because Manny's he ain't a warrior. He's a true warrior. There's a lot of warriors, but he's a true warrior.
Absolutely.
That's why I got to disrespect. So that's the difference. When people want to say these fanboys, that's the difference between Pacquiao and everybody else.
Yeah.
He could easily have played those politics. If you ask
with the WBA, like, hey, you guys need to make a franchise belt.
Any of them, even he could have went to the WBC. Manny Pacquiao, he could have went to the WBC. He could have went anywhere. Even with Errol holding WBC that he won off of Sean Porter, he could have still been like, "Oh well, I'm Manny Pacquiao and the legend, the living."
Give me a WBC Filipino belt.
Yeah, give me a WBC Filipino franchise belt, make me champion. He could have did that,
and
he didn't do it.
Yeah.
So it just tells you who these other guys really are. And, let's give Errol Spence credit. Errol Spence wanted to be WBC, and he fought off of Porter. He fought former WBC champion, former 140-pound unified champion Danny Garcia. He could have asked for a franchise designation. He hasn't asked for one. And you can't, we don't know about Errol Spence. He just came to see. Errol Spence made the most money out of everybody in terms of the fighting, the views, everything, of anybody in 2020.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's fact. With only one fight, right?
2 fights.
2020? He had 2 fights?
I think so, yeah.
I thought it was just Danny Garcia, and then he was just like, all right, that's it. I'm going to go chill out. I don't think it was nobody. Remember, it was the accident?
I think you're right. Yeah, it's the accident. It was Porter, accident, Garcia.
And then I'm chilling.
So let's not go to 2020. Let's go by when he won the belt. He won the belt against Porter, accident, Then, had to lay off, and then Danny Garcia.
Yeah.
So, but he didn't ask for the franchise designation. And at the end of the day, he was still one of the top guys. He's definitely in pound for pound top 5. A lot of people have him in top 3. He could ask for a franchise designation.
I know the answer to this question already. Would you have Jermell Charlo in your top 10 pound for pound?
Yes.
Why is that? Why do they act like that's not something that should be happening right now? Like, they have guys in there that shouldn't be in there. Like, this man is going for undisputed in his next fight. He's got 3 belts already.
Because he's with PBC, and the guys he's
Well, it's not his fault that Oscar De La Hoya didn't know what to do with his fucking career either.
Well, that's true too. That's a whole.
Oh, and he asked, on my fault, he also asked for the Canelo fight at 154.
Yeah. So the other thing is that when you think about it, the other outfits, Matchroom, Top Tank, Golden Boy, they're not in the mix. Now they are now with Castano. They had Teixeira or whatever, but all the guys Mel was knocking off, who are all great fighters, they weren't signed to those outfits. So they didn't have any skin in the game. So lamestream media is like, no, we can't give Mel. We're not eating off of him. See, for them, it's about who they eat off of. Right? When you look at the media, follow it like anything else, follow the money. You look at the Zone, why they all mad about Sergio Moore and all these other, guys. I saw your post, big up to you, Four Prophets, was making a post of, letting Sergio Moore, like, bro, keep that shit 100. You ain't right. They all mad because they gonna miss a meal, right? They were gonna eat off that fight. That's all they cared about. Oh, Fury Joshua, it's on the Zone. We're covering it. So, now they all upset because they can't eat.
Goddamn right. Sabotage.
So you gotta follow the money. When you look at the guys in the pound for pound, and I'm not saying some people don't eat off Earl, but they keep it 100. Brian Custer's on Showtime. He keep it 100. You look at the Fox. They usually have Kate Abdo, who goes. She be on the Zone too, and they have other fighters, but they fight. That's how Fox's outfit is. So they're not fanboys. They call it straight up and down. It is what it is. But you look at the rest of the media and all these sports writers, whether it's Coppinger, whether it's The Athletic, all these other boxing outfits, in terms of the mainstream media,
Dan Raphael,
ESPN, all these other guys, they're all eating off of these other organizations and promotional companies, and they're paid to be talking heads as opposed to being journalists. Right. They're not telling anybody the truth.
They're telling a narrative, not the truth.
Well, they're telling a narrative based on because they're in their feelings, because that's how they eat. So, of course, if you were ESPN, you're mad. You're not going to get to cover Tyson Fury, Joshua, because that's a big fight. You get to fly over to the UK. You get to cover that fight. Hell, you ain't getting no free trip to the UK now. No expense account in London now. You know what I'm saying? So they mad.
No, you get to stay here. And watch that man be great.
Now, they in the Zone. They already over in the UK, but it's a big difference from covering Ted Cheeseman in the UK from covering Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. So
absolutely.
All of the cachet and stuff that comes with that and how they eat off of all that.
Y'all did it to yourselves, though. Y'all did it to yourselves. Y'all sat there and y'all pushed that fight. What's up?
And I'm disappointed in guys like Sergio Mora.
Man, I'm disappointed in him. That's why I posted what I posted.
I get Chris Mannix, right? Because again, he's like a Fox News reporter, at a presidential press conference. He gonna ask the stupid shit, right? And he's gonna be clearly a partisan. So I understand him. I know he's paid. I know what he's paid to collect the piss. Yes. I get him.
Yes.
But Sergio Mora, really disappointed me as a former fighter, like you said, because, bro, take a step aside money. Fighters do what?
They fight.
So you asking a guy who's a fighter not to fight. Just let's follow the logic here. And so now, here's what everybody should ask themselves with anything in life. Why? Critical thinking. Why?
Who, what, when, why, where, how?
Why don't they want Deontay Wilder to fight Tyson Fury? Well, there's a whole host of reasons. Now, we don't need to go into them, but it just the shame, just the gall, the audacity. Sergio Mora wouldn't have taken any step-aside money. He's lying through his damn mouth.
You got your second fight with Danny Jacobs, didn't you? When you broke your fucking ankle?
Lying. If he got beat, especially if he got cheated. Now, this is the biggest, another thing. This is again, and I blame ESPN, I blame DAZN, I blame the media. Tyson Fury clearly cheated. His glove.
Your glove was shaved, right. Pimp. That's a shaved glove. That glove was shaved.
The glove wasn't right. And we all know. And so to sit up here and lie, well, but he still got better skills, so it doesn't matter. Look.
Listen, about that. If you did have better skills than me and could beat me, why would you cheat?
Exactly. Why would you cheat? And so for anybody looking at the video, again, this is that Trump shit. Believe and listen to what I say, not what you see with your own eyes. And so people like that are dangerous. And that's the problem with the world. You know, people can talk about Trump all they want to, but they doing it right here in sports. Oh, who cares that his glove is waffling and, you know, Deontay Wilder has a dent in his head and doctors and scientists say that's not possible with a 10-ounce glove. Who cares? Be damn science. Climate change isn't real.
Right.
They don't understand that's how they sound. And it's like, bruh, who the fuck you think you talking to? Who do you think you're fooling?
A dent in his head. A dent.
Look at the glove. Look at Tyson Fury's glove.
Not just a dent, because I remember when the fight happened, I thought he had a busted eardrum from the punches.
Mm-hmm. I remember you mentioned that. Yeah.
Later revealed that it was a cut on the inside of on the inside of his ear. How do you cut a man on the inside of his ear?
And you can also see the strategy from Fury. Fury is a
he's a technical fighter. Yeah.
He's a technical fighter. Go look at that fight. Fury is wailing wide punches to get to where? The back of Deontay Wilder's head, the side of his hair, his temple, equilibrium. That was by design. I'm not a dummy. Like, don't try to like run game on me. I see this. That's like telling me the election is rigged. No, it's not rigged. You lost.
Yeah. There's an old fight that you can go back and watch. I forgot who it was, but Sugar Ray Robinson fought somebody. I can't remember who it was. It might have been LaMotta. But if you go back and watch the fight, you can count 70 times, I think, that he got hit behind the head.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can count 70 times that he got hit behind the head during the course of a fight. And the judge did nothing. The ref did nothing.
Yeah, did nothing.
Yeah.
And so if you're a ref, and you know, let's keep it 100 here. It was all fixed. Referees see tape loose when guys are boxing, when they tape up around the wrist.
And they stop it. They stop the fight.
And they stop it. How the hell do you not see this glove flopping like it's in the damn wind? How do you not see that as a ref?
Not just that, but at one point, one of the fights, while it was flopping around, the ref actually pushed his hand back down into the glove. I was like, wait, I didn't even catch that the first time I watched it.
And so for people who call themselves journalists, they're the worst, because a journalist's job is not to tell a narrative, it's to get to the truth. Now, because of the era of Fox News and all this other nonsense, they've changed the definition of news. Now it's marketing. It's not news. It's whatever we fucking tell you. And they call it news. But that's not what journalism is. Anybody who's gone to journalism school knows that's not what journalism is. So they're clearly lying.
Yes,
so
you have an agenda. You have an agenda.
You have an agenda.
Yes. And
so
JFK said that before he died. He said there's an agenda to control people through the media, and I want to do away with that.
Yeah. So shame on Sergio Mora. Shame on DAZN.
Shame on you, Sergio Mora.
Shame on ESPN and Walt Disney. Shame on all of them.
Shame on Eddie Hearn. Shame on you.
Shame on Eddie. Shame on Bob Arum, who was around doing Ali. Shame on Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman, who's supposed to be a boxing analyst. Shame on all of them. because you clearly see the glove. You clearly see the same thing we're seeing, but you're saying nothing.
Nothing about it.
So why?
Nothing about it. So it's okay for that man to die in the ring like that. It's okay for that's what you're perfectly fine with. He's already putting his life on the line in a sport that's very fucking dangerous.
And this is all by design because they all want Fury, Joshua, so they can all eat.
That's y'all can get the shit later. Deontay Wilder, if you fucking hear this shit, man, I hope you are training your ass off. I hope you can learn. I hope you have learned how to box backwards and lateral. I hope you have learned how to counter punch so you can shut these motherfuckers up.
Well, yeah, just throw a monkey wrench in their whole program. So you think
partially
the
done
ruling,
already,
right? You think the arbitration ruling, and that's great. But Deontay, Bronze Bomber, if you listen to me, beat this nigga, beat this fool. Because if you beat this motherfucker, if you beat this motherfucker, you really gonna throw the monkey wrench in there.
Ooh, Charlie.
And you really gonna mess up the whole program. And I hope and pray that you do.
Yes, sir.
Because if Deontay Wilder
wins this
fight, if he was a white boy, this would have never happened. Just keeping it 100. And shame on these corporate media organizations for pushing this narrative while at the same time wanting to push diversity, equity, inclusion, and talk about Black Lives Matter. Shame on all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't say a Black life matters and you clearly see a Black man is being done wrong and you're okay with it and you're helping to perpetuate that. Now, you can come from your high perch and talk all your noise and send your lawyer. You can do all you want to, but the truth is the truth.
And the other truth is that we know that y'all scared of Wilder. We know it. We know it.
The truth is that it's the money involved and the suits up top are telling them what their marching orders are. And they're doing it at the expense of someone else. And I just can't respect that.
No respect there. None at all. And that's why I've made the post that I made, because I am in no way. I was street fighting. I did boxing. And in no way do I feel like you should be able to just go along with a program like that when you know what it takes. Sergio Moore, you know what it takes to get in a boxing ring and risk it all. You know there's a chance that you may not walk out of there with your life. You know there's a chance that you may walk out of there different with an injury or something that's, life-threatening. You know that. So why would you tell that man it's okay to take step-aside money? The other part about taking a step-aside money is y'all know y'all would have done him wrong if he took the fucking money. If he would have took that money, y'all would have said, oh, look at him. We knew he wanted the money to begin with. And I'm glad Malik King Scott came out and said it, and he made a post and he put it out in the paper or whatever it was. And he said, this is not about money. He could have easily took the money a long time ago. Yeah. This ain't about money. This is about retribution. And if you don't know what retribution is, look up the word. That man wants his pittance. He wants someone to pay for what happened to him.
Well, you heard what he said. He said we want blood.
That's his payment. So I want my payment in blood. Straight up. Y'all did me wrong. Y'all cheated. And everybody know it. Everybody knows it. Everybody that knows boxing knows that y'all cheated.
Even people that don't know boxing know it. All you need to do is have two eyes. All you gotta do is be able to see. And so the fact that they only want to be honest about it, they talk about it on the fringes. We can do a whole nother segment on that, but it's a shame, and it's part of the problem that's in society. They don't understand that they're perpetuating the bullshit. You don't understand that they're part of feeding this apparatus, of tomfoolery. Yeah. And a lot of that generally comes at our expense.
Yeah, I'm not a sheep.
And so
I'm not a sheep. I'm not a sheep.
I know we're about to wrap it up. I'm gonna get ready and get up out of here.
Okay, cool.
It's been a great session as usual.
Salute to Devin Haney. Yes, sir. Salute to Devin Haney and Linares fighting on May 29th. But tonight will be the big fight, a unification fight, undisputed, between Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor. This should be a fucking scrap. I'm very excited to see this, but I'm even more excited that Errol Spence.
Yes,
Errol Spence is fighting Manny Pacquiao. This is awesome, man.
That's it. And a month before that, we getting Wilder and Fury. the retribution campaign. We getting that a month before. So this is going to be.
And then a month before that, we getting a unification undisputed title at 154. Them Charlo twins is doing a damn thing, man.
Lions only.
Yes, sir. We're going to get up out of here, man. Peace, love, health, success to everybody out there. Jay, I appreciate you logging in with me, man.
No doubt, bro. Anytime. You already know this.
Salute.